Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. I appreciate you joining me today. This is going to be part 3 in the 4-part series of careers and skills that are in demand and safe, and that I predict based off of the data are going to be good choices to make. And so today we're going to talk about the top hard skills that are in demand. So as I mentioned before, these hard skills are going to be specific things to a given career, things like financial skills, or development skills, or whatever it might be. They're going to be something that is much more prominent to defining the career, less on the emotional and kind of mental side of the equation. And so to get started here, the main reason I wanted to make this video was that it is predicted that I believe it's by the end of next year, and I forget the source on this. I want to say it was maybe Harvard Business Review, might have been the World Economic Forum. As much as I generally don't believe and support their ideology, I think the overall sentiment of this statistic is going to be true, which is that by the end of 2025, again, I believe it's 2025, might have been 2026, 50% of all of the workforce will need to reskill in some capacity. So this is huge. I've mentioned this before, that we are just in a huge technological revolution between AI, automation, and digital transformation. And I don't think that any position is safe and on the table. I think every position is a matter of when it will either be replaced, redefined, or significantly augmented more than anything else. I think every position is on the table. It's a matter of time. Even when you go blue collar, the only thing simply separating blue collar from white collar being affected is the robotics side. So again, I think we're at a when, not an if. So what I want to talk about today is the top 5 most in-demand skills. And all of these will, or almost all of these, will relate to the previous video of the top 5 most in-demand career paths. But we're going to get a little bit more specific and a little bit more of how to go about this. So it's not exactly going to be a one-to-one, but it will tell you a lot of the skills you need to develop in that given high-demand career path. So to kick things off here, we will start with data literacy and analysis. So this goes back to the in-demand job of data analyst and data scientist. And so what does this mean? This is really aggregating data, interpreting data, and being able to facilitate the decision making. You may not be the business executive that's making the decision from this data, but you are the one that's providing them the data so that they can make their decisions. That's the key part here. So think aggregating data, visualizing it, trending it, those sorts of things. And so I believe I gave the statistic in the last video that the Bureau of Labor Statistics is seeing this realm, this one wasn't BLS. This was LinkedIn. LinkedIn did a survey and has seen the job demand for these types of roles go up 650% in the last decade. So on this in particular, IBM also piggybacked, and they saw an increase of 28% in these job role demands just in 2023 alone. So while some of the other roles we talked about, might have had a 20%, 30%, 40% increase over the next, 3, 5, 7 years, this was 28% in 1 year in 2023, according to IBM. So what are the skills that we're talking about here? So this can be formal education. It could be going to get a degree in data scientist, data analysis, these sorts of components. It can also be certifications. I would personally advise the certification route if you're looking to maybe enter this career for the first time or are looking to pivot into this. And it's going to be also learning some specific tools. And your 2 big tools out there are going to be Tableau and Power BI. And both of these are data visualization tools. So this is going to be what creates your graphs and your charts and your nice, pretty visuals for everybody to interpret and look at. And what you're going to need to know is not only how to manipulate, filter, and leverage these particular tools, but also how to integrate systems into it. And so I believe Tableau has their own learning path. If you go to their website, they have their own certifications and learning paths that you can do. But from the Power BI perspective, Microsoft also has their own learning tool and learning path about how to aggregate and manipulate data to be able to be interpreted and used. So those would be the first two routes that I would go, is learning the technologies themselves, learning how to integrate stuff. There's going to be some key components there that you can do, but something that you can do very easily at home for little to no cost, that will scale to an enterprise level, is learning to use Excel as well. And Excel can be a visualization tool if you get that advanced with it, but being able to build complex spreadsheets, and then have those fed into a Tableau or Power BI and be able to manipulate and create graphics and those sorts of things, this would be a great little home setup that's little to no cost, that would allow you to practice with these tools and go through the education provided by each of these providers. So again, this is the overall skill that you need to develop, is learning the technology tools themselves. The top two, like I said, are Tableau and Power BI, and learning to integrate systems, which something like Excel would be a simple one that you could do at home in order to facilitate that as well. So the next set of skills is going to be the cybersecurity expertise. So much like I said, that cybersecurity is a doubly beneficial career to go into because it is both high in demand and protected from layoffs. So it is doubly good and a really, really good investment to choose. I personally think that going into the certification route for cybersecurity is the way to go. I think certifications speak louder than degrees. Degrees are generally outdated, especially when cybersecurity, not to be cliche, is changing on a daily basis. But there's also so many different realms that we're looking for here. And one of the things to really support the overall growth or impact of this realm is that by the end of 2025, the overall damages expected from cybercrime is expected to be about $10.5 trillion. And this is according to Cybersecurity Ventures. And I believe in this study or in this analysis, this was considering both individuals, so us as everyday citizens and maybe having an identity theft scenario, but also company impact as well. And so this is definitely twofold, this $10.5 trillion, but most people target companies because they have a much higher ROI from the cybercrime perspective. So that's one of the reasons this is such in demand, is $10.5 trillion, not billion, not million, but trillion is the expected damages by the end of 2025. That's massive. And so in cybersecurity, it's a broad stroke. So things that you can look at CompTIA certifications for Net Plus and Security Plus. You could also look at Certified Ethical Hacker. You could look at the GIAC certifications. They have a path all the way from foundational basics all the way up to significant expert and engineer. I think that's sort of the premier path, is the GIAC one, because that is from the leading cybersecurity center, if you will. So SANS, SANS, is widely considered to be one of the best, if not the best, cybersecurity sources of information out there. And GIAC is their certification line. So those would be my recommendations, is going the certification route, and you can kind of pick and choose where you want to go. I do recommend going the Net Plus, Security Plus, and maybe Certified Ethical Hacker route, but at least Net Plus, Security Plus from CompTIA to start with. They're relatively cheap. They're fairly quick to get, but it'll also give you a little bit of a broad stroke to understand what in cybersecurity do I want to do, or what am I passionate about. So it allows you to be not niched at all, to be vendor agnostic, and then you can kind of niche from there into incident response, malware analysis, or these different realms that are within there. Next set of hard skills is project management. And there's $1.5 billion ways to slice this up. And I know this is going to be a somewhat biased source, but PMI, Project Management Institute, they're anticipating project management growth of about 33% by 2027. So that's over the next couple of years, a 33% increase in demand. And I think that, ironically, this is a unexpected skill set that's being driven by this technological innovation and transformation, that we're going to have projects that are implemented, that are met, that are really to facilitate company level and enterprise wide transformation, adoption, and usage. Because this is really what project management is it's, hey, I need you to accomplish this objective. This is what I need it to be done by. I need it to be done within this budget. And then finally, I need it to be adopted, and I need it to be successful. So this is a skill set that I think, as really society and companies are going through this huge revolution, I think that's what's driving this project management increase. Your common frameworks that are at least on the technology side, which is where a lot of this is happening, being that it's technology driven, are going to be Scrum and Agile frameworks. And they both individually, Scrum, SCRUM, and Agile, meaning like an agile animal, both of those have their own certification paths that you can do and perform. There's also some other ones out there. So the gold standard is produced by PMI. Their entry level is the CAPM. Believe it's Certified Associate of Project Management, and then PMP, which is Project Management Professional. Both of which are the CAPM, I believe you can get with relatively little to no experience, where the PMP, you have to have multiple years invested in the project management path and career and the data and proof to show it. So that would be the later one to get. Another one that is a huge up-and-comer is Six Sigma. And so they actually they're like a martial arts belt system. I think they go white belt, green belt, brown belt, black belt, maybe. I might have their belt colors wrong, but ultimately that's kind of the progression system that you can go through. They are winning over a lot, especially because they have kind of taken, I think, the best of a lot of these worlds. Agile and Scrum are both still the leader in the methodologies, but the gold standard is still PMI. The up-and-comer that has significant weight behind it is the Six Sigma route. So all of these are certifications. These are not degrees. I don't think you need to get any degrees to transition into this career or to enter it for the first time. So if you are a upcoming graduate, recent graduate, these sorts of things, great career path for low cost of entry in terms of needing to just get some certifications across a few months. So project management is a huge skill set that's in high demand. Now, I do think the interesting question is, in this technological age of the overall transformation, how sustainable is the project management demand once we are maybe 5, 7, 10 years from now, when a lot of this transformation has occurred? Where do project managers fall? I think that's a question that remains to be seen. So this is possibly a very short-term significant demand and then a long-term shrinkage. But I don't really know. So that's an interesting one. But this would be a great career choice, I think, for at least the next 10 years or so. Next up is going to be coding and software development. And again, this has been a reoccurring theme between being a part of the both safe and secure low layoffs, but also high demand by increasing, I believe it was by 25 or 30% over the next 7 years. And at the end of the day, all of the AI and digital transformation is built upon the work of software developers and engineers and coding. So this would be a great skill set to get into. Your common languages and things to learn are going to be C# and .NET, Python, JavaScript, React and Node.js frameworks. Let's see, overall software development methodology and design and life cycle. And a lot of this you can go to school for this from a degree standpoint. I don't think that's a bad route, because it's not like these languages are changing every day. But I do think that there are other options that might just require a little bit more effort for entry, but will get you there faster. And so what I'm meaning here is the two non-degree ways to penetrate this industry are going to be looking at a code-specific school. So something like Code Academy, or finding one in your area. Shockingly, a lot of these will actually facilitate or guarantee employment afterwards, because they have partners who are looking for graduates from their programs. So that could be one of your criteria to qualify, is if they're a good enough school, they will be partnered with some of the big companies out there, or even just reliable companies who are hiring constantly for these roles. And they are looking for that new blood that they can invest in and grow with. So looking for a boot camp or an academy that is going to be noticeably cheaper. It's still going to be probably thousands of dollars, but it's going to be way cheaper than a degree and way faster than a degree. A lot of times these are 6 to 12-month programs that can be significant. You can also do a lot of self-learning as well. And this is where the other route is. So if you're going to do self-learning, whether that's doing, if you wanted to learn, C++ was another one I hadn't mentioned because it's more specific to game design. But I think it's learncpp.com. Or if you maybe wanted to get a C# or Python class or something off of Udemy, or LinkedIn Learning, or these sorts of different, LMSs or learning platforms. Building a portfolio is what's going to be key here. So using something like a GitHub, where you can put all of your software projects and all of your code and those sorts of things up there to show your progress, your sophistication, and what you're able to do. That's going to be the other way of entry here. Another thing is just providing, you can do kind of small projects, make a mobile app and post it, make it free and put it on the store. If you're going to go maybe the gaming route, then post up, definitely post up some mods for particular games, or even just indie games, small, easy games for you to gather feedback and to get community feedback and community insight into maybe what people are looking for. And having that entire portfolio public, whether it's in a repository like GitHub, it's on a platform or something like a Steam, if it's the gaming route, whatever it might be, those are kind of the two non-degree ways. If you go the degree route as well, that's completely fine. However, I would recommend throughout your degree progress, as you're doing projects and things in school, make sure that you are also building that portfolio all along the way. And then you come out with both. So no matter what, I think the portfolio piece is key, whether you go self-study, kind of an academy, boot camp route, or a degree route, all along the way in all of those, build a portfolio. And then that allows you to facilitate an effective resume and job hunt and really show that you have experience in these things. So that's that kind of top skill there, and how to go about entering that market. And to recap there, top languages and things that, we mentioned are going to be your Python, JavaScript, C#, C++, React, and Node.js, software development lifecycle, those sorts of things. Those are the specifics that you want. The last high in demand hard skill that we want to touch on here is going to be healthcare and wellness. And this is actually going to be a little bit different than from the previous videos when I'm talking about healthcare. Actually, so when I'm previously in the high demand, you had the nurse practitioner. And then from the safe from layoff, you had you had 3 different options. You had the admin side, the physician side, and the nurse side. The skill set that's in demand here is actually much more on a social level, which is very interesting. So you do have your formal telehealth skill. So that's going to be the one that I do say is more of a healthcare institutional level skill to develop, is being able to facilitate remote healthcare and sessions through telehealth and digital health solutions. But the other side, that's more the social side, skills to develop, are going to be things along the lines of nutrition, wellness, fitness, these sorts of aspects, and understanding the actual scientific data, not necessarily what's presented in school. Because if this is a career path you're interested in and you dive into the scientific data that is produced in the last 5 years on wellness, mental health, fitness, and nutrition in comparison to what you're taught in schools, I have yet to meet a recent graduate or even a long ago graduate who, when they're doing this comparison of the last 5 years of data versus what is still and historically taught in school, the disparity is massive. And so being able to take this information and apply it in a proactive way, which is the other interesting change from the healthcare and wellness skill set, is being able to prevent people getting sick or having health issues. That's the other side that's growing. And ironically, it's growing because of the social demand and social realization that a lot of the healthcare system here in the US is built upon a reactive scenario. So being able to develop the skills to not only provide the treatment and the advice and these sorts of things like a nurse practitioner or a physician, but then going out of your way to learn and interpret the data of the modern things around nutrition, wellness, mental health, fitness, etc., and coach and help people in that realm. And whether this means that you go out and you start your own practice, or I think, there's multiple different examples of this type of organization, but I think it's a company called Forward, who is a lot more focused on the preventative side of the equation. Or you have things like Merrick Health, and I think it's Function is another company. Like these sorts of companies that are using blood work and blood data to help you alter your life and make lifestyle changes effectively based on recommendations in order to maintain a healthy and long living and functional lifestyle. So the overall healthcare industry is changing a little bit. So it's not necessarily the traditional nurse and physician realms that are just in demand from a hard skill perspective, but really understanding mental health, nutrition, fitness, and these other components as well. So the key takeaways here are dive deep into the hard skills for your given industry, for your desired pivot, for your desired transition. Like I said, most of these are aligning with the things in the previous videos. The ones that are kind of the adjacent or even, not related at all would be the project management and then some of the healthcare skills. These are two very unspoken hard skill sets in the way that they're being in demand in comparison to the title and roles themselves. So, moral of the story is never stop learning, keep seeking out what the demand is, and whether it's going through formal education in the, college and degree scenario or going the certification route, figure out the skills in demand, learn those skills in demand, and figure out how to present them publicly, like building the portfolio. So quick little recap here: top skills in high demand, data literacy and analysis, cybersecurity expertise, project management and agile methodology, coding and software development, healthcare and wellness. If you like this video, if you found it useful, hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell. If you have any questions, comments, or any other inputs, please leave a comment. I will respond every time. And until next time, I appreciate your time today.